is with the Jeffco workforce, and Kelsey Ashton is with Jeffco Libraries. Phil, if you would like to kick things off, we're very excited for your presentation today.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Phil Rohrbach again, and essentially what business and workforce does, and what, since we're focusing more on individuals, what our Career Center can do is really we can help people with every step of their job search. So from even just the initial creating resumes or targeting resumes towards industries, we can help with that. Even at the very beginning, I think one thing about COVID, as people were starting to get laid off, I think a lot of people were starting to reevaluate their skill sets and maybe even the career paths that they're taking. And so know that, no matter what you've done, if you're an accountant or in marketing and you want to go to something else like social science or natural resources, everyone has skills that could apply towards other industries that we can help and bring out and help focus on, so you can kind of get into those different career paths. So then on top of that, we also have ways to help you find jobs, apply for jobs. If you feel like you're getting interviews but just aren't getting the actual job itself, we can have kind of coaching sessions where up to 45 minutes, a few different career coaches, me and my colleagues will participate, and just basically other people from other departments, about 4 of us come with you and speak for 30 to 45 minutes about your problem, really try to determine what is the roadblock. So it's really personalized, and it can get pretty personal because we're trying to figure out what is holding you up. And we can try to identify that, and with hopes of you getting that actual job. So essentially, if there is a problem, no matter where it is, give us a call and we can help you. And it's all free of charge, of course. And depending on where you live, our workforce is right off 6th Avenue and C470, essentially, by the Taj Mahal. But every county has its own workforce center, and we all have similar tools, skill sets and tools available. So speaking of which, I'd want to share my screen and just share some data. Let's see. Okay. So can everyone see this job posting summary right now?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you. So this is going to be kind of a top-down look on Jefferson County and the Denver metro area. And this is going to be data that's pulled from March 2020 to June 2020. So it's going to be fairly recent and should reflect some of the effects of COVID. But the average salary that's advertised is going to be about $47,000. You won't see that change too much. And just to kind of move on, here is the data, or the locations where this data is being pulled. So very localized. And as we move on to the next slide here, we see that for the majority of jobs, about 28% are going to be requiring bachelor's degrees. A lot of jobs aren't specified, but based on titles, you can probably bet that the majority of jobs are going to be requiring 4-year degrees. And so the top companies hiring right now, and so this is a big list, but you could see that School of Mines, Spectrum, and Oracle, Robert Half, which is a staffing agency, so they're always going to be towards the top just based on the actual number of jobs that they're pushing out. Amazon, Centura, Lockheed Martin, Central Lake, and University of Colorado. So there is a lot of tech companies that are hiring, a lot of higher education sites like CU and School of Mines. And you could see on the right-hand side here, just kind of on average, their jobs are being on job boards. So for School of Mines, when they post a job, it looks like they're hiring or finding people within 8 days of posting their job. Continued. And so in terms of top posted occupations, so it's important to keep in mind this is between March and June. So these are the jobs that are being hired for since the shutdown has begun, and what we can see kind of maintaining that momentum into the coming months, especially if things start getting worse like they forecast and shutdowns may need to be reinstated. Um, but you can tell, it kind of makes sense in that software developers and truck drivers, registered nurses, computer occupations would be towards the top, because with the exception of nurses, a lot of those are social distance where you can do them from home or on the road individually. So it makes sense that those would still be industries where you'd still be able to find a job and be hired for one. And so as we move on, these are the job titles. One thing I did want to show you guys before I move on are some of the hard skills that are being requested on some of these job postings. So you could see accounting and auditing are in high demand right now, as well as warehousing. So very reflective of what's going on right now. You're going to be seeing a lot of computer-based, home-based jobs being hired for, in addition to some of the medical fields. Okay. The next set of data that I wanted to present with you guys, and this is just kind of an FYI, is the unemployment rate in Jefferson County specifically. And that is represented by this green line here. So it's pretty much going to mirror the state as a whole. But as you can see, since October 2019, we had maintained a pretty good rate of unemployment. And then you could see that spike up to the national. And from what I understood, it got to a high of 14.1% in April, which is the highest it's ever been. And so now in June, that's dropped down to 11.1%. So still Colorado is still doing a little bit better than the rest of the country in terms of unemployment and kind of the rate in which we're being affected. And so this slide that I can share with you guys is essentially just information on the amount of kind of demographic groups that are being affected by unemployment. And this data is being pulled from the unemployment office for the state. And then here are the number of claims of unemployment. So I will show that with you. But now I kind of wanted to move on to some practical tools that you guys could be using right now. One of them is Connecting Colorado. And this is the state-run job board that's completely free to join up. So if you're looking for a job, register for Connecting Colorado. You'd be able to outline your profile. And when you identify the industries that you're interested in or where your skill sets are, you'll automatically be sent job postings of jobs that are posted in that industry. And so companies all over the state post to this. Large companies like large local companies like NREL, Colorado School of Mines, they post to this. So it's a very easy way of just kind of even getting passive job leads. But one thing I did want to show you guys is from this website, connectingcolorado.com. There's a link down here is labor market information. So if you click on this, this will take you, and this is a service that Jefferson County pays for to get access to. But essentially, you can go to the left side here and pull labor market information for the metro region. And one thing I do like to do is go to the jobs link. And so that brought me to this page essentially. So in the jobs link, I typed in marketing and it came up with these jobs available. So from here, one of the occupation codes is marketing managers. I could see how many job openings there are right now. And then that will pull up a list of active job postings that are on the net right now. So this is almost like a spider that will pull different jobs. So it's just another way on top of some of the bigger sites like Indeed of just finding those jobs. And so this will pull from location, and you can get as detailed as you want, and you could do this for any job. So this is one of my favorite job searching tools that is a little bit underutilized. But yeah, this says, and in terms of other job boards, really, this one, Andrew Hutchins' job list is really great. The Colorado Nonprofit Job Board is amazing. So really, it's I would do a little bit more research beyond some of the job aggregate sites like Indeed, in terms of finding jobs, especially localized jobs. Things like Dice are amazing for tech jobs or jobs with data or computing or coding. So in here at the workforce, we have knowledge of all those different job boards, and we can really give you some really good advice depending on what industry you want to go to. And so, speaking of that advice, here is uh, uh, our website, the Business Workforce Center website, and you can book an appointment with a career counselor to talk about all these options and talk about all these tools that we have at our disposal to help you with your job. And that's where you can book. So uh, as I wrap things up, I apologize for going over time a little bit and just talking too fast, but really all this information that I presented, we have access to it and we work with individuals. And so we encourage you, and even with me, if you put my email in the chat, and when I send out all these attachments later, all these documents, you'll have access to my email, and so I'd be happy to help any of you guys individually with any advice or help you set you up with an actual appointment with us. So thank you.
Thanks, Phil. That was really helpful. I actually didn't know about all those resources that are right there at our fingertips. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I know I ran really quickly through a lot of really tiny numbers, and so I'd be happy to go through any of this stuff one-on-one and go into more detail. So thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, if you're able to hang out, we're going to have Kelsey present and then open it up to questions for both of you at the end. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Kelsey is with Jeffco Libraries, and she has additional complementing resources to provide to us today. Kelsey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Whitney. And FYI, starting in 5th grade, my alter ego is Ashley Kelton. So you are not the first, and you will not be the last to call me Ashley. I'm with the Jefferson County Public Libraries, and I engage in outreach within the small business and nonprofit communities. And I am going to share my screen. And what I'm going to talk about should complement what Phil went over. I would like to start on the library's homepage. And I'm just going to show you where you can go. I guess I should say this is kind of more of a DIY approach than what the Business and Workforce Center would offer, which is much more hands-on and personalized. But from the library's homepage, which is jeffcolibrary.org, if we go ahead and click on the online library and then scroll over or move the mouse over here to jobs and careers, this is what we call a featured guide that we at the library have put together a collection of resources, both that the library offers, but also those that are available in the community or on the web. And I'm just going to scroll here and scroll through and talk through some of these. So these top 3 boxes might change periodically. Right now, if you did not know, the census is hiring. They have part-time positions that are well paid and very flexible. The census will actually happen through October 31st. So if you haven't completed your census form, definitely consider doing that. And then we know that there have been a lot of questions about unemployment. So we have the Department of Labor link as well. And then the resource to the right, I have to move my people box over, is Job Now. And I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm just going to continue scrolling down. So this next little bar here, we call them carousels. These will also change periodically, but right now we need to fix this. I'm linking to the same page that we're on. So we'll remove that. But Help Now is more focused towards individuals who are maybe just out of high school and really getting started in a career. I'm going to skip over that for now. It's also good for folks who maybe are earning their basic education, so a high school diploma or equivalent. But I'm going to go ahead and click over and hop onto these next items. So I'm going to start with lynda.com. This is a really awesome free resource through the library. Normally you have to pay for a subscription. But it is all online, self-paced. Industry professionals are teaching these classes. And this is a great resource to help you with what Phil talked about with those hard skills that are in demand. There are very short tidbits of information like how to create a formula in Excel, all the way up to how to become a project manager or how to get into web development or web design. And that's like a 20-plus-hour course. So this could be a really great opportunity to learn about something new or maybe add to your skill set to help give you an edge as you are looking for or applying for other jobs. The Learning Express Library on the left-hand side here, this is a really great tool for those in careers that might have professional tests that you need to take or recertifications. Off the top of my head, I know that there are practice tests for real estate licenses, real estate appraisers, computing and technology tests, and then also military tests. If you're getting into the USPS, that test, practice test is available here as well. So again, practice tests here in the Learning Express Library. And then I'm going to click over and we'll take a look. Job Now is what I skipped over when we first started. So this is very DIY compared to what Phil described. So this is similar in the sense that you can get kind of chat remote help from a career counselor. You can access templates for resumes or cover letters. It works like Google G Suite would, where there's a cloud component. You can create a resume or cover letter, save it here, export it into Word or a PDF file. There are all sorts of skill assessments or career interest tests that you can take. So this is just a great overall well-rounded DIY resource to do some exploring or to work on a resume or cover letter. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. So these next two items are going to be items that are web-based or in the community. So on the left, these are job boards, which Phil, I'm going to have to connect with you and get some of those links to add here. But I think Phil mentioned pretty much all of these. I know he mentioned Andrew Hudson's job list, the Nonprofit Association job board, state jobs, and again, the census is hiring, so we have that featured. And then on the right-hand side, we have other resources. So these are other resources, again, online or here in the community. Mi Casa is similar to the Workforce Center in that they work one-on-one very personally with individuals needing assistance, either in entrepreneurship or in career development. And they tend to focus on individuals who might have barriers in their life that prevent them from making career changes. They are a wonderful resource. And then just a couple of other websites here. You can engage in some investigating to find out about an occupation, whether there's anticipated growth, learn a bit about an industry and its health before you make that change. Business and Workforce Center. And then we're closed right now, but normally we would have some in-library resources to support job seekers, like our study rooms. And then I'm going to scroll down. I have a few minutes left. So these are just some reading lists that have been put together, and I want to click on this Congrats Grads list just so I can show you a book series that I have really found helpful. I've actually transitioned in and out of public libraries into nonprofit work, and I found these Knock 'em Dead books very helpful. The fellow Martin Yates does a wonderful job of really walking you through how to think of your job search from a more holistic approach, and he offers books on everything from complete job searching to specifically resumes, specifically cover letters. So I would highly recommend, just from my personal experience, these Knock 'em Dead books. And then let me look at my list and make sure that I've covered, yes, just a couple more things. So we also offer personalized assistance through our Book a Librarian service. And while we're not going to offer job or career counseling like the Workforce Center does, we love playing connector. So maybe you have questions about resume formatting or something specific that you're not really sure where to go or how to get started. Book a Librarian can definitely help you with that, and or refer you to another resource in the community that is an expert in that area to support you. So if I go over here to services on the library's homepage, I can click on Book a Librarian. I can fill in a very brief form and request an appointment. You're also welcome to email or call me. I can also facilitate that for you. And then I wanted to mention, so Phil's team and the library are collaborating later, starting in August, on a 6-week series that we're calling Accelerate Your Career. So you could either find that in our events tab, or if I click on catalog and switch it to the events option, I can search within our events And I'm simply going to search for career. And these are all virtual. It is limited registration, 25 per class. I'm going to scroll down to August. So right here, these accelerate your career. So we're offering 2 of the same workshops each week at different days and times. And then the next week we'll move on to a different topic. So job searching tips, resume, practicing for an interview, getting set up and why you should be on LinkedIn are just some of the topics that we'll be covering. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And then I know the Workforce Center also offers separate workshops. I would highly recommend those as well. And what was my last item? I wanted to scroll to the bottom and just let you know that if you do need a library card, some of those databases like lynda.com do require a card. If you just scroll to the bottom of our homepage, you can click here on Get a Library Card and go ahead and fill in a brief form and you'll be good to go. And that concludes my presentation. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kelsey. You're right. That absolutely helped complement Phil's information as well. I can see the overlap that you all have. I imagine you both collaborate quite a bit. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for individuals to be able to ask questions. If you're not comfortable asking a question on video and you want to put it in the chat to everyone, please feel free to at this time. Otherwise, raise your hand, and that way we can shout out your name so that we don't have 5 people talking on top of each other at once.
Phil, this would maybe be a question for you more. Do you guys have any forecasting, as you look at it? I mean, forecasting in every sense right now is a little bit of a funny game to play, but I was just curious. I mean, do you guys project at all in the future? You're still muted.
Unmute. There it is. We can, in kind of a limited sense, in terms of we can kind of forecast to see the patterns, especially in terms of hiring and growth. But it can be hard because it's there's so many outliers with the data for the last few months. So it's usually when we forecast, we can say, okay, this makes sense because you can kind of see that replicated in the past. But but in terms of job seekers, we can kind of help them anticipate what industries may be hiring. But then for businesses, for small businesses, we can kind of forecast to see, yeah, what kind of talent is going to be available, that talent pool for businesses. And one thing that we can kind of help businesses see is that some businesses are kind of even despite the high unemployment rate are having trouble hiring right now. So we can help work with businesses to do things like a lot of times even the job posting itself could have limiting information on it. So if we can change that to even more of a skills based, you can find the people with the relevant skills. So say, for example, you have someone who's transitioning careers, they work with Kelsey and through lynda.com and some other resources, all of a sudden they have certifications in accounting. That's not necessarily what they went to school for. So when you have a job posting that says, I require a 4-year degree in this, you're getting rid of all these people who may have graduated 20 years ago, but since then have grown professionally. So in terms of using that information, we can kind of help individuals kind of forecast to see what industries they apply for, but then on the other side, we can kind of help businesses kind of forecast, what talent pool that they will be able to have kind of in the future months as more people start transitioning.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting.
That was a
and actually, one more thing. Sorry. Yeah, and that's just for jobs. So we can, if you had a specific question, we can definitely research and use our tools to find that information. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Great question, Kyle. And Phil, I see that Jamie asked if some of those links that you shared could be shared in the chat as well for everyone. Kelsey, I see that you were able to see that and put some links in. Thank you, Jamie. That's a great idea. What other questions may we have today? Phil, I had a question. I was looking at your page that had the hard skills graph listed, and I think it was a comparison of what is being sought out. And was the other contrast what is actually being placed on individuals' resumes? Is that what that contrast was?
Yeah, so I could share my screen again. So yeah, that's this page here. So on the left-hand side, so this is pulling from just basically the hot words within, the keywords within the job posting itself. So this on the left-hand side is the actual hard skill that's being requested in the job posting. And then yes, you're correct, on the right-hand side, this is what individuals are posting on their resumes, on their job profiles as their skill sets. So you can see that in terms of warehousing, there is a high demand versus a relatively low amount of people who are looking for that type of job. But then you could see in some of these more in demand, higher paying positions like accounting or auditing, you can see that it's pretty much going to be similar. Although it looks like there's a little bit more people looking for accounting than there are accounting jobs. And then on the flip side, there's a little bit more auditing positions available than maybe there are people looking for auditing positions. And so you can kind of see it broken down into numbers here in terms of the frequency that these things are looking for. So, and this is looking at all industries, all job titles, basically every type of employment there is that's recognized by IRS essentially. And you can kind of see that going down. So even things like, I mean, right here, it's all programming. And so that's really going to be something to keep in mind, that if you did want to learn a new skill, just like the last 10 years or so, programming is still going to be a really valuable asset.
And as a follow-up with that, so when individuals are building their profiles, would you recommend that they should be including that exact phrasing, or is it an aggregate of data that pulls from phrasing that is all kind of related, say, to customer service or sales as a hard skill?
Yeah, I think when you're customizing your resume for the skill set, because the same skill set could be phrased in a few different ways. So I would really look to see what the words they're using in the job posting, because also sometimes you're going to run in, especially with larger companies, they may use software as an initial screening tool. So as the software is combing resumes and even cover letters, they're going to be looking for those key phrases. And it's more likely that the computer software is going to use the exact phrase listed in that job. So, so when you're tailoring your resume, I do recommend tailoring your resume towards each job posting. And I would actually kind of have 4 master resumes, so that if as you're targeting genres of jobs, you're not necessarily updating everything all at once. You're just tweaking, this right here, or you're tweaking this word. So it's really quick. So you could be able to update your resume for the job posting in 5 minutes and then shoot that off. But what that's really going to help is getting past those computer systems and matching you up. And then you never know who is going to be, if it's not a computer system, it could be a person who's not going to be even hiring. So you may have someone who's going to be a screener just looking for the basic requirements of the job, and they might not even know too much about the job itself, so they couldn't see and read deeper within your resume. So that might not even get to the hiring manager, who's able to say, oh, this person has this experience, that's transferable. Oh, this, they're not going to be able to look at your resume with a more educated eye until it gets to the person who's actually going to make the decision. So you always want your resume to be as clear and as precise as possible, with the intention that someone who knows nothing about the job can still tell that you're competent at it. So it's, it's kind of a fine art, and it's always kind of changing. So, but more often than not, the safest bet is to use the exact word, the exact phrasing, word for word that they're using in the actual job post.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much for addressing that question. Kelsey, I had a question. I know in your presentation, you mentioned that some of the resources on the site for Jeffco libraries are subscription-based and require subscription or at least a library card. So then I saw, there's some development resources like Learning Express and lynda.com. Are those ones that once we access it, we would need to subscribe, or is there a subscription available to us if we have a library card for those instances?
So the way those resources that you mentioned work, the Learning Express library and LinkedIn.com, you have to access them through the library's website. They both function a little bit differently. Learning Express library, if you log in on the library's homepage with your card number, you'll automatically be in, and then you may be prompted to create an account not with Learning Express, I'm thinking of Job Now. Once you log into Learning Express, you can access what you need. However, Lynda, I'm sorry, I'm mixing my words. Lynda is owned by LinkedIn, so that's why I'm mixing them up. With lynda.com, again, you do have to access it through the link on the library's homepage or save that in your browsing history, bookmark it, and then you do create an account with lynda.com, but because you've accessed it through the library's website, you are vetted, so to speak, as a library patron. So does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I saw Patrick had his hand up a moment ago. Patrick?
Oh, hi there. This one was for Phil. I went on a bit of a click adventure. I was looking for that labor market information link from the, I guess, Colorado Labor and Employment. I think I found it though, but I was wondering if it was linked somewhere on Jeffco Workforce Business Resources page, or if you have to somehow get to the Colorado State website. So yeah, my question is there a direct link to that?
So there would be a direct link to Connecting Colorado, but the only link that we would have directly to that labor market would be from that Connecting Colorado splash page. So from the initial login page, it would be at the bottom. But I did put the link in the chat, and she should be able to access it directly from the COL gateway.
Okay, and that's accessible like from home. We don't have to go. This is like not in-house, only at the workforce center.
Yeah, so you can access from home, and you don't have to sign up for anything.
Okay.
So that's another great thing, is that you could just play around with it, and it just pulls data from a lot of different sources. So
Cool.
And it's not as user friendly as like some of the Indeeds, but it's pretty comprehensive and easy to use.
Cool. I'm going to nerd out and play with it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Perfect. Madison, I'm wondering if you could show the screen real quick, and just in case there's anyone on here on Zoom that doesn't know how to save the chat, in case they want to be able to save that and have these resources and links available to them moving forward. Could you share your screen and just show that real quick, how they're able to do that?
Zoom's share screen doesn't let you share the Zoom screen itself. So I can't, but I will walk it through step by step. You literally just move your mouse around. If you're on a computer, click chat, and then the chat box will open up, and there's 3 little dots. And then those 3 little dots, there's a save chat option, and that will save as a text file to your computer. So check that out. You can also copy and paste. Once I shut down this call, it will not be available for you to save chat, so make sure you do it now rather than later. And if we're good with questions, I'm going to go into if anyone has any events coming up. If you guys want to unmute yourselves and share. If not, then I will talk about West Metro Chamber events. But anyone have anything else they need to share?